in my teenage years, when I knew that I wanted to do some counseling. It wasn't until after I became a believer, when I was 19 years old, I surrendered my life to the Lord. It was about when I was 21 or 22 years old when I actually knew that I wanted to be a voice for, people around. And, I went into hair, I did some counseling, I've done a lot of different jobs, but I think every job that I've had, that also helped me to redefine more of my purpose. And I wanted to, be able to speak to people, listen to people, hear what's going on inside of their heart, get inside of the depths of the heart, challenge them, and find out what's really going on. Where are you coming from? What's made you today to where you're going tomorrow, and what things have happened in your life to encourage you, or bring you to where you're at today. So I think, like I said, when I was about 21 years old, 22 years old, I really felt like my direction was to just really talk to people, be a part of their life, make a difference for their life. It wasn't really until the last probably 5 years that I really strongly made a decision to really make a difference for other people. Sometimes you really don't know the true definition of what you're wanting to do until after you actually have experienced taking downfalls where you have to rise up and you say, wow, what did I do with my life, and who am I? You tend to, sometimes you forget who you are. Sometimes the circumstances that you go through, they dictate, some of your hurts, some of your, the best thing about yourself. But I have to honestly say that it was, after I got married and, I started really seeking the Lord more. I really started giving myself over to prayer more. And I started really asking the Lord to give me a direct word. And, also when I, was married, I was married twice, actually. I don't tell a lot of people this, but I was married twice. My first was with my first husband for 9 years, and that ended with his decision to, take drugs and live a life with the meth and the crack and the heroin, and just, living a strung life. I don't think that he really was in too much control of that after it took control of him. And then shortly after that, I got married again, and unfortunately, my second marriage, that became more of a domestic violence. So I think I lost myself a short time, and I lost who I was. I lost the sense of direction. I lost, my integrity, who I was, what I wanted to do, who I was. Sometimes when you fall into a dark world, you lose yourself, you lose your thoughts, you lose your concentration, you lose your focus, you lose the sight of what you want to do, the things of where you want to go. You lose a sense of how to get there. And then sometimes until you experience going through it is when you really begin to say, wow, what can I do from here? How can I rise up? How can I, make a difference from here? How can I regain my self-worth, my integrity? How can I regain who I am? But it's not sometimes until you go through the dark world where you actually open your mouth and you start asking God to help you, to help you rise you up. So I have to say, after my first husband and my second marriage, I really started to really reevaluate who I was, what God wanted me to do. I started to really reevaluate my purpose, and that was mainly to be a voice to hurting people, people that are going through the hurt. Hurt is hurt. It doesn't matter if you're experiencing drugs, or you're married to somebody who has, they're strung out on the crack or the heroin or the methamphetamines, or you're married to somebody who's involved with domestic violence. Hurt is hurt, pain is pain. But I have to say that I really reevaluated my purpose after a couple of years, and also my second husband going through the domestic violence. And I made a decision that I didn't want to live like this anymore, but I wanted to really be a blessing to other people and really help other people come out of what they're coming out of, and let them know that you're really just not alone. To love myself. Well, loving myself hasn't been easy. Um, Sometimes loving yourself takes time. Sometimes it takes a lifetime for people. Loving yourself. I mean, we as individuals, we grow up with our own crap, idiosyncrasies. We have our things that we think about ourselves. We go through life, maybe loving this or that, but there's the other part where we don't love this, whether it's the way we look, the way we act, the way we walk, the way we dry our hair, or the way we straighten our hair, the way your eyebrows look, or the way your nose looks, or the way your mouth looks, or the way your gait, maybe you gain weight, maybe you don't like your feet, maybe you don't like your toes, you know what? But I've struggled with all of that all my life. I kind of haven't really loved the way I look. I've always been hard on myself, and I think also over the years, I was criticized for maybe having, I was too big here or too big there, or, I wasn't looking this color, or you know what I mean. But you know what? Over the period of time, I've learned to accept myself, and it's not easy when you don't know, when you don't understand how God looks at you. It's easy to continue to criticize yourself. But I think, even with my first marriage or even my second marriage, I really struggled a lot with, how I looked. I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't beautiful enough. My skin color wasn't beautiful enough. I always felt like I had to compete with somebody else's beauty. But you know what? When you start to get in the Word of God and you start to read about how God looks at you, He says that you're fearfully and you're wonderfully made. I read about that years ago, and I've crossed over. I want to kind of touch a little bit on the fact of loving myself and how to love other, how do I find myself to love other people. You know, Loving myself hasn't been easy, and we all have our own critical areas of what we find about ourselves, but um, the only way that I can find to tell you to love ourselves is to really understand how God sees us, and He sees us as His righteousness. He sees us as an apple in His eye. He sees us as something very different of what you see yourself, and that's the only way that I can encourage you to really love yourself, is to find that place, that secret place with the Lord, where you finally accept how you view yourself. And with that being said, you'll find yourself accepting yourself more, and you'll be able to look at other people and say, wow, I just want to bring out the potential in other people. I just want to touch them, and I just want to say, hey, you know what? You're important. You're valuable. And it doesn't matter how you see yourself, but God sees you, and He loves you, and you're very beautiful. In the last several years, I've experienced some areas that impacted my health, and it impacted how I view myself. And that was, I wind up going into the hospital. I developed an enlarged tumor in my left kidney, and just recently, abnormal fat count in my right liver. So within the last year, I have to tell you that after I went through all this, I really struggled about how I view myself. I used to say, wow, how can anybody really accept me for who I am? Because I look at myself in the mirror. I developed a low self-esteem. And I look at myself in the mirror and I say, wow, how can anybody accept me? Because I only have one kidney that I really even eat for, and now I have to really watch my health. But initially on, it was a very strong impact. It really kind of floored me. I sat on the floor, and it just really kind of grounded me, you know what I mean? And it made me feel like, how can I move on? How can I accept myself? How can I be productive? How can I be, how can I be successful? How can I talk to other people? How can I, do anything? Well, you know what? After I got the why me stage, I really realized I had to get back to what my foundation was. I got back to who the Lord was inside of my life and what He wants to do. And sometimes things happen in your health in order for you to be humbled, but sometimes they work as a thorn in your flesh to keep you humble, but at the same time to recognize that you're not perfect. You're going to live this life. You're going to go through struggles. You're going to, you might, acquire some health problem or an ailment that holds you back for a reason, but at the same time, it's not only for you, it's for also those who might be experiencing sickness in their body, so you can encourage them, so you can talk to them. But how are you going to talk to them unless you understand what you went through? How are you going to talk to and relate to somebody else unless you've gone through that pain, unless you've gone through that type of a struggle? And when you're able to go through that type of a struggle on your own, you'll be able to relate to more people, and they'll be able to come to you with a greater acceptance, knowing that you have experienced not only struggle but hurt and pain, and how to get through it, but also how to rise above that and recognize that there's still potential while you're still living and while you're still alive. Because while you're still alive, you can still talk to somebody else, and you can still make a difference for another individual, and you can still rise above out of your situation. And for the whole time that you might be struggling, you're hurt or you're pain, whether it's cancer in your body, whether it's a tumor in your body, or whether you're eating for one kidney, or whether you have a abnormal fat count, or you're overweight, or whatever the ailment is, you still are important, and God still wants to use you for somebody else. So while you're in your state of mind of your sickness and why me and why did I go through that, you know what? You need to stop for a moment and say, wait a minute. There's somebody else that's going through something that's worse than what I've gone through. And I still want to be a voice piece for that person. And I still have people to talk to, places to go, because I'm not done living, and neither are you. What am I doing now that where I reach out to other people or I help them feel important, or what am I doing now to basically help other people? Well, I have to tell you, I'm as much as I am working a full-time job and I have, the kids that I'm taking care of, I actually have decided to go on an internet. I use a nationwide social site now. I have created 5 groups where I inspire other people. But at the same time, I wait, I listen to people, I walk up to people, I talk to people. Sometimes if I sense that a person is hurting, or if I discern that they're hurting, I go up to a person and I try to, at least give them a hug, tell them I love them, or let them know that, I'm here and there's someone there that would be willing to listen to you. I make myself available for a time frame that I can, even though I have children and even though I work a full-time job. I take my desires to help people wherever I go, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's a gas station, whether it's my social site or the internet. I take who I am wherever I go. Wherever I go. If I'm at work and I sense something about somebody, sometimes I'll wait to my break and I'll go up to that person and I'll tell them how I feel, or I'll ask them what's going on in your life. I make myself available. I'll give them my phone number sometimes. I'll give them my email address if they feel more comfortable. Behind an email, sometimes people feel that they're not ready to talk to you face to face, and they're ready to email you. They'd rather feel more secure with an email address or talking to you on the phone where they don't have to show their emotions. So sometimes talking to people on the phone, on the email, like I said, on my social site, I have 5 groups that I have actually created that I have inspired to make a difference to other people. I talk to people privately through their email. I counsel people. I have placed no charge on it, obviously, because I'm not, able to do that at this time. Or like I said, if I'm at work, I make myself available on my break, or I get the phone number, I talk to them, I offer them prayer. But I also make a point to pray for them privately, and I talk to people, let them know, what, I have websites that I can give to you. If it's alcoholics, I come across people who are alcoholics. I come across people who are using crack, or they're involved in an abusive relationship, and they want to have a private You know, they're crying out, they're wanting to reach out, but they don't want people to humiliate them. They don't want people to call them out on what they're going through because they're afraid of exposure, or they're afraid of, you know, being known, or they're afraid of someone else, what they're going to do to them when they get home. Well, guess what? You know what? You can talk to them privately. You can give them your email address. You can use someone else's email address. You can give them if you have a P.O. box. People still like to maintain their form of privacy, or they don't like to be known about what they're going through. You know what? Someone's going through an abortion. If they're going through an abortion, or you know, they're getting ready to make that decision to go through an abortion, guess what? That's a private moment. They haven't made a full commitment on it, but they're confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go to. It's something that I experienced many years ago within my personal life as well. But you know what? Make yourself available in some way, whether it's privately or whether it's one-on-one. You know what? Take that person out to McDonald's or meet at the park and have a picnic, and make yourself available where you can actually spend time one-on-one with that person and let them know, you know what? You're not alone. I care about you. God cares about you. He's able to move on your behalf. So you know what? Make yourself available. You might work a full-time job. You might have children. And I have the same thing. I'm involved with, you know, my children. I try to make myself available. I've gone through some things with my kids. But I've learned how to communicate with them, or I've learned how to just stop and listen. Sometimes someone just wants you to listen. Sometimes somebody just wants a hug. Sometimes somebody just wants you to know that you're lending your ear and letting them know that you're there for them. So whatever you choose to do, whatever you decide to do, make a decision to do it. Because you know what? People that are involved with drugs, people that are involved with, you know, crack or heroin or drinking alcohol, they can't make that way out by themselves. Someone that's making that decision to have an abortion, they can't make that decision themselves, especially if they're a minor or below the age of 18 or 19 years old. They can't make that decision on their own. You need to step in their life and make a decision to say, I'm going to help this person. And if you can't help them yourself, get in contact with somebody that you know that can step at their side. An example, if you're a woman and you want to help a man, guess what? Find another man that will help support this guy. Or if you're a man and you know a woman that needs help, find another woman that can help the woman. That way, if there's any type of an attraction there, you know that you're going to get somebody to help that person. If they need food, you know what? Direct them to a food bank. Direct them to a place where you know that they can go. Because sometimes when they're in that state of mind, they can't make that decision on their own. They are confused, they're dealing with fear, they're dealing with confusion, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go. So sometimes you as an individual need to step in their life strongly and say, you know what, I'm going to help you. I'm going to go out of my way to help you. If it's in your ability to do, then do it. And you know what? You'll feel better about yourself. You'll make a difference for yourself. But you know what? In 5 years from now, or 5 months from now, when you see that person and they've gone through all their crap and they're coming out of it, they're going to thank you. And they're going to say, you know what? I remember what you did for me. And it'll make you feel better about yourself. And guess what? You'll have made that difference for themselves and for the next person. And you know what? When they're out of that, they'll be able to make a difference for somebody else, just like you did for them. So you know what? Today, don't wait. Just get involved. Struggle that you're in, whatever pain you're feeling right now, I want you to know first and foremost that I love you. You're not alone. You know, I want you to know that, you know, regardless of what you were brought up with or what choices that you've made, you know, from here moving out, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are other people that are struggling right along with you. And you know what? First of all, I'm going to send you a hug because, you know, I care about you. Other people care about you. God cares about you. You know, He made you, and He wants you. His hand is upon your life. And, you know, there's help out there for you, whether it's support group or whether there's websites that you need to look into, but there's help that will help you. So I
want you to know that I'm here for you. There's other people that are here that will help you see you through. And you know what? We want to see you make other choices. We want to see you, come out of where you're at. It's not easy. It's not going to be something you can do by yourself. But if I can't help you, then I'm going to try to send someone else your way, or at least encourage you and give you hope. But I want you to know that I'm sending you my email address so that if you decide you want to contact me, if you want to talk about something, if you want to just, tell me how you're doing, tell me what you're struggling with, tell me what you're going through, tell me what you want to do, tell me how you feel about where you're at right now. I'm here for you, and I want to be able to let you know that I will incorporate you in prayer. But I'm also including an email address down below on the video that you can actually contact me on. So, don't feel like, I'm trying to invade your space, but know that I'm also wanting to help you. So, contact me. Let me know what's happening in your life, and let's work it out from this day forward. For the time that you spent time with me today, listening to what I had to share with you, I want to thank you for inviting me